you doing? I hope you're well. I'm Deanna and welcome to my channel. Today I'm coming at you with another book recommendation video, and this time we are tackling my third favorite trope, which is why choose romance. This trope has completely taken over my life since I read Lady of Rooksgrave Manor by Catherine Moon maybe 3 years ago, and I don't know, there's just something I completely love about a why choose romance. So the idea is that you have one girl with 3 or more guys. Sometimes some of the guys are together, other times it's just they are with the girl. I do love when there's a bit more poly in the romance, but I'm completely a sucker for why choose. So I have got 9 why choose romances to recommend to you guys today. They are a mix of fantasy romance, there's an Omegaverse in there, there's some historical stuff, paranormal, because we all know I am a simp when it comes to paranormal romance, and we have some dark romances as well. So without further ado, let's get on to the books. My first recommendation is Lilac by B.B. Reid. This is a dark rock star why choose romance, and in this one we are following a girl named Braxton Fawn who has been given an opportunity of a lifetime by a record label to be the new guitarist in a massive rock band called Bound. Bound are currently on a spiraling trajectory where they're about to implode, as the 3 core members of the band, Houston, Loren, and Jericho, are not coping. They signed a stupid deal when they were teenagers, and secrets are starting to come out, and they're not the core unit that they once were. The label is pushing them to get back on the road after the death of their guitarist, and basically the band have been given like a goalpost and a number of records, number of tours, number of sales that they need to meet to be able to get out of their contract. But with the death of the bandmate, they'd cancelled tours. The record label keeps pushing that goalpost back, so the band are pissed. They're also extra pissed that they didn't get to choose who their new guitarist is going to be. So there is a bully aspect of this romance, but I will say Braxton refuses to give in and gives it back to them just as much as they throw it at her. And yes, it was deliciously dark, and I just really want to reread it right away. Also, the end scene at a church, was not expecting that, and I don't think that is the official use of the altar, but I was here for it. Sticking with dark romance, my next recommendation is the Saint View Psycho series by Al Thorpe, with the first book being Start a War. This is the 3rd trilogy in her Saint View universe, but you can read them out of order. I did. I started with this one, but just know that if you read this one first, you are spoiling yourself for Saint View Prison. But that's a decision you could make, like I did. In this book, we're following a plus-size girl named Bliss. She is having a bit of a rough time. I'm pretty sure her fiance has just left her. She works in childcare, which is an absolute embarrassment to her stepmother, who is in this high society of this world. Think like your Toorak or Brighton. If you're Melbourne based, you know what I mean. They are rich snobs basically. And she was lucky. Her mother was a prostitute, and her half brother found her dad and was able to get her out of St. View because her dad was willing to take her on. So she's had quite a luxurious lifestyle, but it is years later and her brother is dead, and she is back in St. View to try and figure out what happened to her brother. Will say, if you like a romantic suspense, Al Thorpe is phenomenal at it. I fly through these books and I'm sure I miss all the signposts, all the clues, and every time the mystery is revealed, my jaw is dropped and I am just gobsmacked. So Bliss is back in St. View. She's given up her job at the childcare centre and has taken on the ownership of her brother's bar. So in this, we've got the why choose romance between Bliss and Nash, who is her brother's best friend and co-business owner of this dive bar. We have War, who is the heir apparent to the local bikie gang, and then we have Vincent, who is wonderfully complicated, and she actually meets him as he is the newest childcare worker at her childcare facility. And yes, this is just super twisty. We do have sword cross in this one. There is a sex club. We're trying to figure out the murderer, and we have a fantastic plus size rep. The romance is excellent, and I love that even though we've got such a high energy, high paced, high intensity plot, we still get a lot of space for the romance, and completely love this one. We are moving into our fantasy paranormal romance, and we'll stick with more of a darker one. So we've got the Bonds That Tie series by Jay Bree, which first book being Broken Bonds. This is a bully romance, which I say I'm not a fan of, but if it's done right, I seem to love it. This follows Oleander, or Ollie, who is been on the run ever since her mother and her mother's bonded were murdered. She has this super powerful ability, and the evil people in this world are after her. So in this world, they don't have a name, I'm pretty sure off the top of my head. Although if I reread it, they might tell me the name. These superhumans, think like X-Men mutants, are able to find their fated mate through a blood test. And Ollie has found out that she's mated to 4 of the most powerful men in this world, 3 of which are like on opposing ruling families in this society. So when everything happens with her family, the Bonds, especially the Draven brothers, assume that she is going to come and live with them so they can protect her, and are quite pissed that she ends up on the run and escaping them. At the start of this book, they have caught her and found her, and they are hoping to make her life as miserable as she has made their life. And I completely captivated. It's a 6-book series. Each book ends up on the biggest cliffhanger that just, again, jaw dropped. We start with Ollie in university, and she's trying to figure out how to protect herself, protect the people from the big bad of this world, and also navigate her relationships with her bonded. So we have the Draven brothers, we have North Draven, who is one of the councilmen of this town, his brother Knox, who is a professor at the university, we have Griffin, who is head up in their military security forces, and then we have 2 younger guys. We've got Gabe, who is in her year at university, who is a quarterback, I'm pretty sure, or at least he's a football star. And we have Atlas, who is this tattooed bad boy from the West Coast, who his family are rivals to the Draven brothers. And yeah, it was so great. I loved that. Similar to Elthorpe, we do have a really high intensity, high stakes plot, but we still get a lot of downtime moments for Ollie to develop her relationships with her guys. And I think one of my favorite things of Why Choose, and it's one of my favorite things throughout all of these books, is that the relationships develop at their own pace and are unique, because the couples and the people involved in that are individual people. So yes, highly recommend this series. Ollie is a total badass, and I wish I could be her when I grow up, but I'm definitely more of a bookworm. And luckily for you, the whole series is completed, so you don't have to wait for publication date and wait for months to figure out what happens next. I guess now we're going into a micro trope that I love, which is magical boarding schools, because next up I have the Saints Academy series by Casey Keene, and I completely love this. I actually read this around the same time as The Bonds That Tie, so in my head they're kind of linked. And this world has a bit more of a Greek myth spin to it, and in this world we have shifters, demons, angels, and gods and vampires. So there has been a big battle between Zeus and Nyx. Zeus has won, Nyx is dead, and hallelujah, the peaceful times are upon us, allegedly. Rhea, very similar vibes to Ollie. She is an absolute badass, will not take shit from no one, and she is just trying to survive. She is a human, and in this world the humans essentially live in the slums. And she's working a couple of jobs, living in a shitty rundown apartment, and just trying to survive. She has been summoned by the Hex, who are the ruling council in this world. So there is a representative from one of the 6 cohorts. And she's been summoned to go to Pandora's box to test her humanity. Ray's kind of been putting it off because she just assumes it's a waste of her time when she could be working, and she's at risk of losing her job. And she ends up there, touches Pandora's box, and bam, turns out not as human as she thought she was. And when you touch the box, if you are magical, a talisman comes out and it is yours. That's how they know that she is magical. And she ends up at Saints Academy in Paradise Heights, which is where all the supernaturals live, and she's just trying to figure out what's going on. Not only that, but she has been assigned to they don't really have like houses, but they do have like kind of levels, and it's based on strength. And she gets assigned to this particular ward where there is a limited number of people assigned to this house, for lack of a better word, because they are the most powerful in the academy. And in particular, we have Xander, Chaos, Zen, and Adonis, and they are the elites of this world. Because of her being assigned to this dorm, she has a massive target on her back, and the elites in here. At first, they kind of antagonize her, and again, she gives it back just as much as they throw it at her. But when other people start attacking her, they become a very protective force, and they see her as one of them, so they jump on protection detail. And this goes back into maybe rehashing the big battle, which we thought was all well and done, and that Zeus is the ultimate good and Nyx is the ultimate evil might not be the case. And despite it starting off in a magical academy, war may be brewing, and I completely love this. Love the dynamics between them. I think from memory, Xander is the werewolf, Chaos is the vampire, Adonis is a demon, and Zen is an angel. And I just, yeah, absolutely love this one and cannot wait to read more from Casey Keane. Is this a video by me if I do not mention the Make Games by Kay Lorraine and Meg Ann? In particular, I'm going with the Make Games War, which is the first series within the Make Games universe. First book is Obsession. So this follows, why can't I remember her name? This follows our girl Sunday, who is sent off to Ravenscross University, much to her surprise, as she is the shame of her pack. She is a werewolf, however, she has never been able to shift. So her grandfather kind of locks her away and doesn't let her interact with the outside world. So she's very surprised that she is going to be sent off to the academy, which is where supernaturals of this world learn to hone their power and build alliances and kind of start their life. In this, we have Sunday just trying to figure out who she is, and then she has relationships with a couple of people. So we have Kingston, who is the heir to another pack, which her grandfather and Kingston's dad were going to forge an alliance between a marriage between Kingston and Sunday, but Sunday did reject him. And then we've got Thorn, who is the heir to the Blackthorn vampires, who are considered one of the ruling families of the vampires. So he is a dark vampire prince. We have Alec, who is our alpha cinnamon roll hero, who is a demigod from Novasgard, and in fact is very Loki coded, even though he looks like Thor. And then we have Father Gallagher, who is a turned vampire and ex-priest. The steam in here is fantastic. The banter in here is hilarious. I love the dynamic between the guys, although I'm not a huge fan of Caleb, Father Gallagher. The other three, I completely love and adore. And again, this series, I will say it once and I will say it again, definitely read it on audiobook. It is phenomenal. The whole cast narration is amazing. And yeah, so Sunday's trying to find her place in the world, trying to get through university, and she may accidentally be setting off seals, which is going to start the apocalypse. So it is a seriously fun, dramatic time, and I'm completely obsessed. My last paranormal why I choose recommendation is the State of Grace series by Colette Rose, first book being Run Riot. I completely devoured this series last year, and it is just so good. If you love an Angels and Demons vibe, like star-crossed lovers, war between good and evil, but want a Greek myth twist, this is absolutely the series for you. So in this, we follow Grace, who is an Agoth's woman, and the Agoths are created by Gaia to be the guiding light for humanity. They heal people, they offer knowledge, they bestow luck, and they're supposed to be there to help humans reach their highest potential. Grace is seen as a bit of a humiliation because she is single, hasn't found a single soul bond, even though most people find them at 25, and she has what's considered what is not a very glamorous gift. She bestows luck. However, when she gives humans luck, the flip side is that she's instantly gets bad luck. She's wanting to break away from these kind of like Stepford wives, high pressure society that the Agoths have, and is moving closer to the demons part of the town where her shelter is, because she works at a shelter to help humans who need the most amount of luck and need a good start. Catch her surprise when she manages to find one of her most recent clients, patients, I don't know what they really call them in this shelter, in the arms of a demon, and count her more surprised when the demon named Riot ends up being the first of her 4 soul bonds. In this world, the demons have been created by Nyx, and they're supposed to cause a little chaos. They are what drives humans to rage, to lust, to depression, and we figure out that Grace may have uncovered a secret battle between Nyx and Gaia, and it is just beautiful. I love these characters. Riots is our first guy. In his particular version of the demons is the one that causes those depressive feelings. We have Bullet, who is one of the last of the prophets, and he is just this beautiful man who is obsessed with music theater and dresses really sharply. We have Wild, who is the rage demon, and he's got a lot of clubs in the town, and he set up an underground MMA fighting ring which helps these demons safely let out their anger. And then we have Dare, who is the lust demon, and he is a tattoo artist, and I love their dynamic as friends. So Bullet, Riot, and Dare are all friends, and then there's some soul crossing. This one, Bullet and Wild have a thing. So with the demons, that's not their legal names, but they are given nicknames like this, and that's what they're known as. And they in particular are unhappy with how their previous generation, their parents, have been running the world and how they're supposed to operate. So it's just this kind of beautiful amalgamation of Grace not being happy with the Agoth society, the boys not being really happy with how demons are supposed to run and operate, and they come together, fall in love, and try and save the world at the same time. My next recommendation is the Dying Gods series by Alicia Kemp, the first book being Drown the Sea, and this is a beautiful Why Choose Romance, which is a time travel romance. So in this one we have Ariadne, who is about to go off to college. Her father's rich, and I'm pretty sure he's like a film producer or something, and she is a dancer. That's all she wants. She's going to spend the summer trying to work her ass off so she can get ahead in her course and then can land her dream job as a professional dancer. However, things go horribly wrong when she ends up stealing her dad's car and breaking it after a drunken night out, and she is sent to live with her estranged mum, who is an archaeologist who is living in a small Greek town called Santorini. Apologies if I've mispronounced anything. And her mother's complete obsession is the Minos people. We don't obviously know a lot about this world, and actually the research you can tell Alicia has put into this world to make it seem believable. This was an ancient civilization around the time of the Greeks, who are theorized to have been a matriarchal society. So Ariadne ends up on this small island, still manages to cause trouble by ending up on this horrible date with this garbage human, and the only way to escape him as they're on his fancy yacht is to dive into the sea. However, when she pops back up, instead of being in modern day Santorini, she is in Bronze Age Santorini. And one of the absolute beautiful things that I love is that you see Ariadne having to learn a completely new language. Again, we do have a matriarchal society, which was fun to read about. Again, everything feels authentically Bronze Age, for lack of a better word. And she's come from the sea, and the people mistake her for being their goddess, who is, I can't remember the name of the goddess, but it is very Aphrodite coded, and she's trying to explain like, no, I'm not a goddess, I'm just from the future, which I don't know which is a harder sell for this society. And she is trying to figure out why she's there, how she got there, and how she can get home. And she ends up falling for Kit, who is the man who saved her. We have Styrian, who is the brother of the head queen in this world. I believe they're in Crete. And his lover, who is Jadakai, who is actually an Egyptian slave. And then we have Neretes, who is a demigod of the sea god. Ariadne drives me bonkers, and she was infuriating at the start, but I really loved her character development as she figures out what she's doing here, what's going on. So if you love time travel, Greek myth, gods, goddesses, demigods, prophecies, oracle with an antiquity setting, I think you would absolutely love the Dying God series by Alicia Kemp. Next up, I am going to recommend one of my favorite releases and reads of 2024, which is The Castles of Nevers and Nightmares by Lana Pericek. This is the first book in her Fae Devil series. It's also her first Why Choose romance, and she did it fantastically. And this is a spin-off series to her Fae Guardians. I don't think you would need to read the Fae Guardian series. Lana has done a fantastic job of putting in all the context that you need for what's happening with Willow and the Slaw. But obviously, I think she's a wonderful writer, and I would recommend you read everything she writes like I do. So this follows Willow, who is half werewolf, half human, who has basically spent most of her life being kidnapped by the humans, and they wanted to use her as a weapon. There was a big battle that occurred where she lost her powers, and the Slaw are 6 of the Guardians, who are the Fae Devils. They are the darkness of this world. They're unseelie Fae, and they kind of operate on this like little hive mind mentality where they are one but they are separate, and they consume souls basically. And they believe Willow is fated mate, as one of them, Varen, the 6th member of the Slaw, has some psychic abilities. However, when they seem to think that she is not their fated mate, they spur her. So all Willow can tell is that she hates them. She thinks that they've destroyed her life and she wants them dead. In fact, she wants to be the one to kill them. So she ends up stealing enough mana bees, which is like the magic in this world, and opens up a portal and ends up in the Court of Dreams. So the Court of Dreams is in a epic battle with the subterranean of Nightmares, and the Fairy Queen has put herself in an endless slumber to help the Court of Dreams fight off the Nightmares. To celebrate the Queen's sacrifice, there is a tournament for mortals in this world, and the mortal who wins the tournament is gifted a dream. So Willow ends up stumbling in to this tournament, knowing that if she wins, she is going to kill the 6. However, when she sees them, they are not what she remembers, and they have no idea who she is, and she kind of finds out that things might not be exactly what they are in her world. And Lana has taken on a more traditional kind of Celtic folklore take on the Fae in here, and it is just wonderful. The world building is fantastic, and I love getting to know more about the Slaw. It is definitely an enemies to lovers romance. She's literally there to kill them, and we have an adorable baby dragon named Hunt. This book was beautiful. Fox is the only one who seems to remember who they are and who Willow is, and their romance is just so beautiful. And the events in this book actually left me completely distraught. And Lana, I need the next book to figure out what's going to happen. Completely love this. World building amazing, characters incredible, romance swoony, slow burn, and yes, I need more. Last but not least, I wanted to recommend Devon St. Clair's Slate City Omegaverse series. I am a big fan of Omegaverse, and I think the way Devon does it is one of my favorites. She has more of a sweeter side to it. We still have all the fun Omega things: alphas, omegas, betas, knots, heats, nests. If you know, you know. If you don't want to know, don't Google. And there is this kind of courtship going. We've got the scent matched, and this series is interconnected standalone. So the first book is Not Your Damn Omega, and we are following Esme, who is the twin sister of a famous actress. Her life really isn't her own, and everybody basically wants Esme to get closer to her sister. Despite not being in the industry or a celebrity, her mother and her sister's PR team have very much cultivated her image to be the exact opposite of her twin. So she is very sick of people only wanting to be friends with her because of her sister, Pax only wanting to date her to get to her sister, and her mother is really pushing that Esme needs to get mated and is making her go on a series of pre-planned dates, and they're just going from bad to worse because they are thinking that she would just be a substitute for her famous sister. Her sister takes her out to a nightclub, which is this kind of got this circus burlesque vibe, which sounds like a really fun time. And while there, she catches the scent of vanilla cupcakes and does all she can to find them. However, instead of finding a tray of cupcakes, she finds an alpha, a tattoo artist named Bennett, who is her scent match. And then it is their relationship trying to navigate her mother's expectations and her trying to be vulnerable enough to see if this pack, who are all tattoo artists in their own right and own their own studio, actually want her for her and see her as an individual person outside of who her sister is. If you like a kind of sweet Omegaverse that has all the fun Omegaverse tropes, but then we have things like the courting, I would highly recommend this series and Devon Sinclair in general. There you go. There is 9 Why Choose romance recommendations. I'm a big fan of Why Choose, so if you want to let me know what your favorite Why Choose romance is in the comments, please let me know so I can add it to my TBR. Otherwise, you can leave me a B emoji for A Castle of Nevers and Nightmares. If you'd like to see any more content from me, please like and subscribe. I'll be posting videos every Sunday. I will leave links to all the books in the description box below, along with any reviews if I have them. Also linked in the description will be links to my social media channels if you want to chat to me or follow me on any other corner of the internet. Anyway, that is all from me today, guys. I hope you're doing all kinds of well, and I will speak to you soon. See ya!